What's going on, people of the digital world? My name is Chris Kazama, Fight Club Pro Wrestling, Washington, D.C., best city on earth, best wrestling city on earth. And right now, you're laying down on the mat looking up at the lights, listening to the 3 Count podcast. That's right. Don't kick out. Stay tuned.
I knew that she raised one. All of your hate won't change now.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, as always, and it seems that I would have a team here, but you know, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, when you give out hot dogs and handshakes and you run out of hot dogs and COVID stops you from doing handshakes, nobody else wants to help you on your team. So, it is what it is. But this is Now Entering the Ring, which means we have a special guest for you. Our special guest can be found on DMV, ACW, Eclipse, BEW, WOW, IPW, Nova, MCW, and she is a former MCW Women's Champion. Give it up for Sahara the 7th.
Hi guys, what's up? Namaste everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm like, I don't know about anybody else, but like, you know, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so I'm like ready for the food. Like, low-key, I've been starving myself for this moment. So I'm a little hangry, like not really like, you know, too angry, but I'm more so on the hungry side.
Okay, yeah, no, I've been practicing, so like what I've been doing is like just shoving my face with like lots of food to like expand my stomach, so that way like I have a 12-pound bird that's just sitting in my fridge right now, and probably 8 of it is gonna be with me tomorrow.
I'm waiting for this turkey and this stuffing and these candy yams and these collard greens and this baked macaroni and cheese. Like,
Oh, let me get them.
I'm going for 2 plates, and then I might go for 3. I don't know how I'm feeling, but no judgments here. No judgment.
No judgments, because I could put down everything. Like I'm okay. With
Yes.
everything.
Oh my God. I could put away some food.
You ever get that question too, where people are like, where does it all go? And you're like, man, listen, like there's like this pit. It's just endless right down here. It doesn't even hit. It just out. That's it.
I tell everybody the truth. They be like, where does it go? To my thighs and my butt. Like, it don't go to my stomach. Like, yeah, I taste it for a little bit, but then it's gone. Like, super absorbent into it, like thighs. I'm like SpongeBob. What was that episode with Squidward when he ate the Krabby Patties and it like blew up like from his thighs down? And like SpongeBob was like, he's like, Squidward's like, am I gonna blow up? He's like, no, it'll go straight to your thighs. Then you'll blow up. That's me. That's me. Go straight to my thighs. Then I blow up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like that's the first SpongeBob reference that we've had on this show.
Oh, trust me.
No, actually, I take that back. This is the second, because the first one, we actually had someone talk about Sweet Victory because that's their theme song.
I love that episode. Yo, SpongeBob is like one of those things that it teaches you life lessons. And believe it or not, SpongeBob is one of the greatest teachers. I'm an advocate for SpongeBob.
Yeah, my daughter's been asking. She's like, "Do you watch SpongeBob?" I was like, "No, I watch clips of SpongeBob. I don't watch SpongeBob." I think it's because it came out after like I feel like a lot of kids like it just came out just after like I started kind of like exiting the cartoon phase, but like those kind of cartoons, because like I still watch like Teen Titans. Like I'm so very much a Teen Titans Go person, which
I love Teen Titans Go. I watch all types of cartoons. Like you said, it did come out after I was like kind of done with that phase of watching cartoons, but I watch anime. So like a lot of the cartoon world is still like in my brain, but SpongeBob's just one of those things that if I see it on, I'm like, up, pause, stop, don't change the channel. We about to watch SpongeBob.
I'm about to turn this.
SpongeBob says some very real things, and like the more I get older, I realize I'm not a SpongeBob. I'm more of a Squidward. And like,
Patrick.
yeah, I'm like, I see people, they be like so happy, and I'm just like, it's too early for this. Shut your asses the fuck up.
I haven't had my 2 cups of coffee yet. I haven't had my Red Bull. I don't know why you're talking to me.
Right. I mean, I don't drink coffee, but I drink tea. So I'm like looking at people like, it's too early for this.
I do want to jump into like our first question, right? So first question is, who is Sahara the Seventh?
Ooh, that is a big question. So Sahara was based off of my actual nationality. My family is Egyptian. They're from Alexandria, which is 30 minutes outside of Cairo, Egypt, and Sahara, like the Sahara Desert. My grandma actually named me that because my grandma did raise me, and she supported me throughout everything. She just recently passed away, so she basically was like a big driving force in my career. So she got to name me. And seven came from I played soccer. I was a college athlete. I played soccer and basketball. My number was 7. My dad's football number was 7. My mom's track number was 7. My sister's track number was 7. My brother's football number was 7. My sister's track number was 7. Like everybody in our family has had the name 7. And so 7 is the number of completion and wholeness in our family. So it's just been like passed down from person to person. So when in wrestling I became Sahara 7, like it's me, like it's literally Sahara, like which is my actual ethnicity, and 7, which is like my whole family's basically like number and their way of life. So Sahara is just a soul devouring savage beauty from Cairo, Egypt, who is the reincarnated queen. She's the last Egyptian queen you will ever see on this planet. So that is her. And if you get in her way, she's going to run you over. She's going to mess you up and snatch your soul. And might as well snatch your jewels and your crowns while she's at it. I feel like that's a lot, but it's the truth. It's a way that people can understand that it's something personal to me, that my character isn't just something I made up out of thin air. It was something personal to me.
That's awesome though, and I hear that a lot. Like the best characters are like they always say like it's an extension of them, but then it's like turned up to 100. So did watch your
Yeah.
match. It's funny because like like talking to you, like I didn't watch a match with Aja and like watch you just like destroy her, you know, in a sense. But it's like okay, but I've seen the edge, and then like meeting you, it's like oh okay, like you know what I mean, like so it's
Yeah.
and like even like for me like to kind of open up a little bit I'm in my first year. I'm still kind of like developing myself, but my character is based off of something that I did, right? So I was in the military, and like that's where my character comes from. So it's like very militaristic, like he's a mercenary, like it's very much like that. So it's fun to like talk to people about like where they got their character, and then like I get to turn around and share my story with them, and then just like find out like oh yeah, it's just that's just me like now.
It's
But then like
much easier if it's something that's real to you, because how they say back in like school, like if you're faking it to make it, you'll never really make it, and you'll never be happy. So it's much easier in wrestling to be a character that you know you already are. Like just take something of yourself, magnify it times 1,000, and then amplify it times 1,000, and boom, now you're walking, talking, living, breathing. You're really that person.
yeah, that's why I can't wait because I start cutting promos and like guys hurling insults, and people are like, "Well, that doesn't sound very militaristic." I was like, "Has anybody seen Face? Like, you know, made an A-Team? Like, that's all that dude does. Like, it's who I am."
Exactly. And it's like you just have to pick and choose pieces of things. Like, for instance, military, a lot of people think stoic and always straight faced and, always serious. I've met so many people as, wait, pause. Before I even say that, my father is a military man. And believe it or not, we call him Cool Breeze Carl. So if that can tell you anything, like he's serious when it's time being, but like when he's jaw jacking, that man is funny. Like he's got like one liners. He's like quick on his feet, like right back at you. So military always doesn't mean stoic. So I'm glad you're taking it in the sense of if this is me, but military is also part of me. I'm fusing the two, and then this is now what you're getting.
Exactly.
And there's
Exactly.
always people who always want to talk you into changing your gimmick. Don't do it. If it feels real to you and it's like it's working for you, it ain't working for them, but it's working for you, don't change your gimmick. Don't do it.
I like that.
Don't do it.
That's
Don't
great
do it.
advice.
I've had so many people try to do it to me and then turn around. I see they try to put my gimmick on a regular, schmegular girl down the street, and it's like it's not working for her, but it's working for me. But they wanted me to change my gimmick. Why? That's because they see something that they can, work with and they can mold. So if it's true to you, keep it for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
just thought
actually,
I'd put that out there.
no, it's so lit because this is the first time that like I've heard someone like say that, like not in a sense like that, like if it works for you, like stick with it, right? Because it reminds me of there was a runner back in, oh my God, it's gonna date me, 1996 in the Atlanta
Mhm.
games, right? His name was Michael Johnson. He was the fastest man. He ran the 200 and 400. He was legit like just, and he was so cool about how what he ran. Like he just knew like all the steps like to the T. But what made him special was his running style. And like track coaches used to tell him all the time, like, hey, like how much faster you would be if you did this or if you tweaked that. He's like, you know how what you could look like if you did this? He's like, yeah, I could look like the rest of those guys who are running behind me. So that's why I'm gonna do what I do. And I'm like, oh, you saying that just reminds me of that. I'm like, yo, that's powerful.
It's the truth though. Like it's for me and like my friends in the business, it's all happened to us. And it's like we've gotten legions farther just being us and ourselves than trying to change into what such and somebody else over here said, whatever. It doesn't work that way. It always works, like I said, if it's true and it's real and it's authentic to you, then it gets you way better, like gets you, get you to the higher elevation to where you want to be versus some playing the part that you're not even meant for. And that's very true on TV too. You see a lot of people playing characters that they're not really, and then it doesn't work for them and they get repackaged into something else and they keep getting repackaged into something else and repackaged, and it just not them. You got to work with what you're given, and what's for you is for you. What's for you may not be for somebody else.
I like that. I like that. Actually, so that kind of like segues because it is, it's one of the hardest things to kind of like do in pro wrestling. But I'm kind of curious, like, what do you think is the hardest part about being a pro wrestler?
Ooh, there's so many hard things. Body conscious image, like you want to like people think a pro wrestler, especially a female one. Ooh, sorry, somebody's calling me. Hold on one second. Sorry. That's so bad. Somebody just called me in the middle of this. I'm sorry. But they think that a female pro wrestler looks a certain way, talks a certain way, acts a certain way, whatever. That's not true. There's ones of all sizes, different shapes, and talk different ways, and have different attributes and things like that. So it's always hard, like for wrestlers, especially in the independent scene, to be who they really are, because they're being put up against these standards that are just like made up. It's also hard to like have a love life in the business and outside of the business. It's also very hard. Family family's very hard. Like you don't get to see them a lot. Like you're always gone traveling, especially if you're like doing this for like a really long time and at a accelerated caliber. It's like when you're doing tours and stuff, you don't get to see your family for a while. It takes a toll on you. So like I always say, the rest of life is not for the weak. It's for the strong-hearted and the strong-minded, because there are going to be days where you don't see your family, or months or weeks, and there's going to be time where you don't see your significant other, or you know what I'm saying? It's just so many things. You just have to be physically and mentally strong. So those are like a couple of key things that in the wrestling business that no one told me about when I first got into it, that were going to be hard. So I just would say that those are the things that are very hard being a pro wrestler, especially a female.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I hear a lot is that everybody gets boxed in. Like, someone will ask you like, "Hey, like, so what about you? What do you do?" And then they'll be like, "Well, just like for, just like how you said, right?" I feel like when I look at places like WWE, if you have a look, like you're gonna be this person, right? So like Ruby Riott, for instance, like she's a very talented wrestler, but she's always gonna be like that punk like look because they're like, yeah, you just look like a punk star. You're the punk person, or like, oh, you have like nice hair. You're the pretty one. Like, so there's like all sorts. Like I see it a lot, and I'm just kind of like, But like when I see it for myself too, and I tell people like I'm military, all of a sudden, like we were talking about, right? Like everybody's like, yeah, you're still you're headstrong, like you no emotion. I'm like, no, 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 no. I want to be like Ryan Reynolds. That's who I want to be. So yeah, I can understand that. That's crazy. And then like even how you mentioned about like the travel, the schedule, like I've seen you like go all over the place. Like, you know, you had your UK tour, you were all over up and down the East Coast, you've been all out towards Midwest and beyond. So yeah, I could imagine that the significant other would be like cool with it at first, like, oh yeah, she's a pro wrestler, and then all of a sudden it's like, when's the last time you
Yeah.
saw her? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say my Japan tour was very hard on um my significant other at the time. It really did take a toll on our relationship, and it just was like I spent months over there and he didn't really get to see me besides when we talked, you know, when I was going to bed at night and it was bright and early during the day over here. And we video chatted as much as we could, and we like called each other as much as we could, but it's, you know, it's just not the same. And like you said, yeah, he was always like, yeah, my girlfriend's a pro wrestler, da 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 da. And it was always cool to tell his friends, but then they'd be like, well, when was the last time you seen her? You know, and they're like, he's like 6 months ago.
Man, that's hard.
So, I mean, you know, when you're doing year tours and like some people do 3 years, some people do 4 years, 5, 6, you know what I'm saying? Like some people just stay over in the country that they're in, and it's just like, it's hard. That's one of the things that I always tell people: if you're getting in the pro wrestling business, you really need a good support system behind you.
Yeah, that's definitely. But with that, having like a lot of support system, there's got to be something that's like given in there. So for me, I need to know every wrestler, every announcer, every commentator, every ref, whether you're heel or face, everybody has one of these. And I got to know what yours is. What's been like your favorite fan interaction?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so at MCW, there is a announcer, and um he's like basically like a hands-on deck type person. Like he does a lot like video production, stuff like that. Him and his sister take care of his daughter, and his daughter's name is Aslan, and she actually wore a tutu made of tulle to match my brand new gear at one of the MCW shows where I think that was when I won the title, the MCW women's title. But before that, she used to come up to my table every time and like talk to me, and I would just like stand there and hold her hand, and people were like, is this your daughter, Sahara? I was like, no. I was like, this is my little best friend. And I would just like sit there, like, you know, this is before COVID time, but she would just sit there, and I still have the picture. It's on all my social media. It's like the cutest thing ever. We're like matching. I'm in my gear, bending down, hugging her, and she's just smiling from ear to ear with her little matching tutu. Like stuff like that makes me like really, really excited. I have no kids of my own, so it's just like, not that I don't want any kids, but I just don't have any right now. But like that right there, just like, like it just makes me happy. And it's just like things like that. Like I just makes me think that wrestling is forever, and like wrestling is for everyone, like any and everyone. Like she's a little girl, and she'll probably remember that like when she grows up, regardless if she stays a wrestling fan or not. But just she'll remember like her dad and her aunt taking her to these shows, you know, and like her meeting this girl that looks like her, you know, another, like she's a little black girl, and I'm obviously a black girl, and she's like, she just remembers like seeing someone, you know, their like representation there that looked like her and was capable of these amazing things, you know. So that right there is like, to me, is like, just like, is it tugs on my heartstrings, and it low-key makes me cry, like in a good way, because it's one of those things that you never really stop to think about when you're like thinking about yourself in like wrestling. You're like, you know, you're like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm really good. I might make sure I'm on my skills, but you don't stop to think, be like, hey, that little girl in the front is like watching me, and like she's like eyeballing me, like she's adoring me. You know, you don't stop and think about that, because I didn't stop and think about that until I met her. And I was just like, that right there is like one of the best joys in wrestling. Like, it's like one of my favorite things is like being, you know, I don't want to say I'm a role model, because I'm in no way perfect, shape, or form, but just being someone that someone looks up to, like little girls, little boys, whatever. Like, they're just like, oh my gosh, like that's Sahara, like she's so great. And it's like, for those like 5-10 minutes I'm out there, they're like, she's so great, I love her. Or some of them hate me because I'm a bad guy, and they're like, boo, but she's like the coolest bad guy ever, but boom, you know. Whatever, I don't care. They're like, you know, like she's bad, but I just like her so much. And even when I'm a bad guy, I still stop and take a picture with them. And, you know, because you never know how much you make their day. And just that one instance just changed my life forever in wrestling.
That's awesome. That's a great story too, and especially like how you talk about like, you know, I hear about it like with people like wanting to be like when they're the bad guy, like people get attracted. It's weird how people get attracted to like bad guys, like heels, right?
Yeah.
Because like when I think about like MJF doesn't take pictures with people, and if he does, he's like doing something in a photo to like show like, hey, I'm still like this prick, and it's like people are like, oh, I really like him, like why? Is
Why do you like him? It's the same way. Everybody's like, yo, she is a BITCH, but why do you like her? Because she's a cool BITCH. That's why.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so as like you navigate through your business, right? Like I'm just kind of curious, like what advice would you give to future and upcoming wrestlers?
um, well, we kind of like hit the nail on the first one, which is stay true to yourself. You know, what's for you is for you. What's for you is not for everybody over there, and it's not for everybody over here. Um, Dude, hone in on your basics, because the basics can save your life. Like, I'm probably gonna get heat for saying this, but sometimes the basics will save your life when you're not that great at all the flips and the tricks and this and that and the spots and you know what I'm saying? They'll save your life, like, you know, prevent you from taking a bad bump, you know, taking a bad fall or something, you know what I'm saying? Just save your life. So really hone in on your basics and just be a sponge and like soak everything up. Like, you're never too old to learn something. Like, you just always got to be open-minded. You got to be coachable and teachable, and you just have to soak everything up and like just always be learning. That's what I do. I always learn. Like, people be like, you've done so much, but yeah, there's so much I still have to do. Like, I still want to do, and I still take advice from any and everyone who's willing to give it, you know? Like, there's just never a time where you stop learning. Like, I see it on social media all the time. People are like, I was this today years old when I learned this. And I'm like, see, you're still learning. You're still learning. And that's a very real thing in wrestling. There's 1,000 ways to do this. There's 1,000 ways to do that. You just gotta be a sponge and soak it all up. There's no right or wrong when it comes to learning. There's right or wrong ways to do things, but there's no right or wrong way to learn something. Ask questions, be coachable, be teachable, like just be in the moment, be present, and don't take yourself so seriously, and don't take your life like for granted.
Yeah, I've been learning that lesson recently, actually, not trying to take myself so seriously.
Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously. Like, dude, I took myself so seriously. Like, the first couple of years, I was like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, stand here, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, I started overthinking way too much, and it just really started affecting my work. And then, like, I don't know, I don't want to be so vulgar with it, but I was just like, man, fuck it. I was like, I am so over all this. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna do what I know how to do, and ain't nobody about to stop me. So
That.
I started achieving my goals, like hitting the goals that I didn't even think I could do. Like, I didn't even know I was that good at this. But as soon as I was just like, boom, let it go. Like, just go with the flow.
No, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's now the more I'm starting to think about things, I'm like, yeah, I can do all that. Like, all right, that's bad.
You can achieve anything you like set your mind to. There is nobody stopping you. There's nothing physically blocking you besides your own self.
Very true. Very true. All the facts are being spit right here, man. I gotta be honest. It's crazy. All right, but those are it for like all like the big hard hitting questions. But we got to get into the best part of this show, which is the 3 Count Podcast 10 count questions. Here's how it works. We're gonna fire off. We're gonna fire off a bunch of questions at you, rapid fast, as the first thought that comes to your mind.
Okay.
But to make it even worse, we're gonna put an imaginary timer on the clock.
Okay.
Ding! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Ooh, Queen of the Damn, baby.
Let's go. Let's go with some Aaliyah. Let's go. Jazz or Jackie?
Oh, no. Neither. You would not make me pick. I love my aunties. Neither.
Favorite actress?
Oh, favorite actress. Ooh, Angela Bassett, baby.
Let's go. I love watching her in American Horror Story. I ain't gonna front.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Favorite comfort food?
Oh man, tacos, macaroni and cheese, crab dip.
Yeah. Favorite social media platform?
Instagram or Twitter. Either
Okay.
of the two. They're linked together. That's why I'm so bad at it.
Biggest pet peeve?
Oh, I can't stand arrogant people. Oh God, I can't do it.
Me neither.
Can't do it.
Favorite podcast?
Ah, okay. So my favorite podcast. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it's about the girl who reads murder mysteries on, I can't remember her name right now, it's off the top of my head, but basically she reads like murder mysteries in AMSR, like with their like whispering voice.
Oh man. Okay. When you go back and find it, you need to send that to me. I've been looking for like new podcasts to listen to, so
Ew. But it's so funny because she like, even when she like gets like surprised, she goes, oh my God.
I feel like I should do one of these interviews one time, just in ASMR, and see how people react.
It would be dope.
So, nominate one person that you would have on this podcast.
My sister, Renee Michelle.
Bet we would definitely be looking for that one. And then, last but not least, it's funny because you've been kind of dancing around it, but I need to know, what's your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word? Oh God. Motherfucker, bitch, cunt. I say it all. Like, I don't care. I'm African. We curse 10 times more than the normal person. So you might hear me say, suck your mama them, you fucking pussy hole. Like, I'll say that shit all the time. So, so yeah, there you go.
Bet. Well, that's it for the 10 count questions. All I need from you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
You can find me, like I said, on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, you can find me at Sahara _007, like 007. Pew, pew. Um, don't tell anybody I did that.
You're
But
gonna see it. What do you mean?
on on Instagram, I am on Instagram. It is Sahara the seventh, and like it's spelled out THE, the number 7, and then TH. So that's my Instagram, and Facebook is Sahara 7. I have an official Facebook page on there, and pretty much other than that, I don't think I have any other. Yeah, no, I don't have any other social media profiles. But I mean, I'm always on social media, so you guys are more than welcome to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I really do try to get back to people as much as I can, even though sometimes my inbox be over flooded. But I never know.
Yeah, I bet. You know what? I was just talking about this with another person, and I had mentioned about how weird it is that they probably get, because like I didn't get a response at first, and then they opened up and they saw it was me like sending a message, and they were like, "You have to see." I was like, "No, no, no. I totally understand, because the random DMs that you're probably getting, like I
Are
couldn't."
creepy.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And all of a sudden, you have like one person just write in and just like, "Hey, I host this podcast. Like, do you really? Do you really
Yeah,
host
like
a
sometimes I'd be like, "Sir, what is the name of your podcast?
podcast?"
Let me look this up.
Right.
Do you know anybody that I know?"
And then you
Things
look.
play. That's a very real thing. Wrestlers play telephone. We call each other and be like, "Hey, you ever heard of this place? Hey, you ever heard of this podcast?"
Yeah.
So now you can always use my name as a reference, and I'll vouch. But like, I know them very, very, very well.
And the host is really cool.
Yeah, but like the host is really cool. He has a really cool dog.
But that is it. That's our show. This is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering Ring. I am your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, here with Sahara 7. And tune into the next episode and be there or be somewhere else.
Or be a fucking square.
Totally leaving that in.
Hey guys, it's the host of the 3 Count, Chaz Evans here. make sure to let you know that I don't run shit, I don't do shit, I just talk shit. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast. What else did you do? You should also follow us on all social medias. That's the Facebook at 3 Count Podcast, the Instagram at 3 Count Pod, and the Twitter at 3count_pod. Also, if you like us a lot, you should definitely buy a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/3countpod, and that's the number 3. Don't be an idiot and type in THREE, because you're not going to find anything. So make sure you follow us at 3 Count Pod or 3count_pod on Twitter and buy a shirt. Be there or be somewhere else.